I mean, just go off of what the CFO comments were on the China market. I think my takeaway from that earnings call for the China market is that China is no longer the bull case. It's almost like an optional upside. Nvidia is basically telling you that the AI build-out doesn't need China to work. There's insatiable demand that's happening globally that they're already sold out the clouds. GPUs are fully utilized. They have visibility into $500 billion of Blackwell and Rubin revenue through 2026. And none of that assumes a China rebound. So that tells you that 500 billion is the floor. I do agree with the sentiment that they are disappointed that they can't ship more competitive data center parts into China, but they're still engaged with the US and China governments. And I do think that if America wants that sustainable leadership in AI, it has to be the platform of choice for every developer and every business, including those in China. And yeah, I think that's the China front. To go off of the actual earnings front, I mean, oh boy, that data center is still their engine. That reacceleration that we saw of 56% growth year over year to 66% this quarter, implied reacceleration to 70% next quarter. It is showing video game like numbers because Nvidia is accelerating revenue growth at a scale where it has never been done before because it should be decelerating, but we're not seeing that right now. And that's exactly what Jensen Huang's message was on the earnings call. He did not hedge once if you heard him talk at the CC because right out the gate, he leaned more bullish than I've heard all year. He pushed back very directly on the idea that there's nowhere close to being an AI bubble. Nvidia is the only company that has that one architecture for pre-training, post-training, inference, simulation, robotics, enterprise, cloud. I can go on. Like the numbers look the way they do because Nvidia truly is the kingpin of the new digital economy.
Yeah, you know, Shay, I have to say that contacts in Silicon Valley have told me that Nvidia has always had a remarkable plan for the future. We can see this coming to fruition in that from the get-go, it invested in companies that it was going to need down the line. So it's always had an incredible strategy. But I wonder, being a bit of a cynic, why was Jensen Huang even in Asia talking to all of these different leaders in the tech space in South Korea, for example, and pushing to be a part of that delegation that accompanied US President Trump? Because at the end of the day, you can't do any of this unless you have any of the raw materials, and we know that there's been a logjam on that.
Yeah, I mean, although Nvidia can't really do business in China, there is still massive demand for AI compute inside China. And if America, like I mentioned earlier, wants to sustain that leadership in AI, it needs to maintain being that platform of choice for every developer and every business in the whole world. So workloads are exploding right now in China, just like it is everywhere else. So if they don't do business in China or that part of the world, it does open the door for potential competition. But because Nvidia can't ship competing products into the country, it's just whatever demand there is internally is just going to reroute it to local suppliers. China's ecosystem is growing, but the hardest part I do want to call out isn't building the chips. It's the systemic know-how. And when I say know-how, it's the running the equipment, it's optimizing the yields, it's mastering the advanced lithography, and the huge software moat that NVIDIA has with CUDA. China cannot replicate that at this stage. They are decades behind. China is catching up on the AI hardware. Their ability to build chips is absolutely there, but they can't replicate NVIDIA's ecosystem that they currently have right now in their software.
I have heard that said, but so are you saying that what I'm hearing from you is a lot of enthusiasm? I'm not hearing any reference to any Achilles heel, but I'm still not convinced. because otherwise, why would we all be talking about the possibility of this AI bubble and that this being overhyped? What is it we should be looking for in the detail that should be any warning sign?
Gross margins. I think gross margins is the heartbeat of NVIDIA's moat that they currently have right now, that pricing power. And their ability to not just keep that mid 70% gross margin, but also maintain it while scaling their system shows that the demand is insatiable, the pricing power is still there, demand exceeds supply. And I think that at this point where the bigger the AI brain gets, which is essentially what the models and chips do, the more use cases are starting to appear. The more use cases that appear, the stronger their investment cycle becomes. And the stronger their investment cycle becomes, the longer this entire AI trade start marching forward. And I think that there was somewhat of heartburn entering this print because of a lot of polarizing public figures were going against Nvidia. I'm talking Michael Berry's puts against Nvidia and Palantir. I'm talking Peter Thiel exiting his position, SoftBank exiting their position. Like there was some commentary of, is the AI boom done? Is Nvidia finally going to signal the party is over for them? We did not get that signal this cycle. Maybe it happens next cycle. Maybe it happens the following cycle. I wouldn't underwrite that, but I do think that at a certain point, humans just see explosive growth the way that Nvidia is doing and instantly tries to fill that gap of concern with something that just isn't there. I think that's kind of what's happening in this investment cycle for Nvidia.